Okay, weekly AI update, a lot of news, and I will start with this Google event, which just finished in Las Vegas. You see, April 9/11, there was a lot of announcements, but it was mostly about Gen AI, although it's, well, supposed to be about cloud, but it was Gen AI everywhere. So they were talking about their new chips, TPU version 5, Tensor Processing Unit version 5, Gemini 1.5 Pro. It's a great model. It's available on the Vertex development platform, and it has like million tokens length. It's multimodal. It's absolutely amazing thing. Imogen generates animated images, Vertex Agent Builder. So, you know, the trend is to create multi-agent systems, and they have for that. Gemini Assistance for Google Cloud, for developer services applications, Gemini Cloud Assist, Gemini in Security, Code Assist, Gemini in BigQuery, it's a database, Gemini in Looker, Gemini in databases, everywhere. Google Axion processors, Google Workspace, which we all use, and Google Vids. Anyway, a lot of updates, and it's all AI, AI, AI. But I guess most important is to using agents everywhere. So build conversational agents, ground your apps in Google Search, use Vertex AI search for RAG, retrieval augmented generation, use search components, APIs, vector search, embeddings, use LangChain on Vertex AI. Uh, all the things we were talking about previously, but it's great. Anyway, Nvidia accelerators. I want to make you this picture. So first, let's go on the bottom. There was a A100 board, and this was the main vehicle on which GPT model was trained. And then it was substituted by H. Hopper. Remember Grace Hopper, the computer scientist? So Hopper GPU H100, which now you can rent at about $2 an hour. This is the cheap price on something like Lambda Labs. There is H200, which is still expected, not available. There is GH200, which is Grace Hopper 200. So what it is, it's a board with both CPU, Grace CPU, and Hopper GPU on one board, and they share the memory up to 624 gigabytes of unified memory. They call it coherent memory. And you already can reserve it on Lambda Cloud for about $4 an hour for one of those. And there is another board which is called GB200. So it's not Hopper, it's Blackwell. It's a next generation. It's not available yet, but it up to 850 gigabytes on one card like this. Now they combine two cards in one tray, right? And this is called the computer tray. And then they put them in Dikwan, remove yourself. Yes, okay. And then they put like these trays in one rack. So this rack has 36 CPUs, so that means it's 18 trays. Anyway, and the cost estimated is $3.5 million, and performance is astronomical. Now, the old times, like 10, 20 years ago, we had motherboard and we had GPU inserted into the motherboard, and we could have several GPUs, so maybe 8 GPUs. And in fact, for AI servers, they're not PCI inserted. There's a different, like mechanically, geometrically, but it's still the same idea. You have main board, and then you have GPUs separately. But the new architecture is completely different. You have those trays which combine both CPU and GPU and very intimately connect them using NVLink with a high speed. So basically they share the memory for best performance. And then you just stack them together. So this is accelerated compute. Now, looking at Intel. Intel, they just released a new version of their Gaudi series. Now, first of all, about Anthony Gaudi, who was amazing architect in Spain, in Barcelona. I highly recommend you to go online and look at pictures and videos and about his work. It's absolutely amazing. It's like fairy tale. So they named their series of AI accelerators after Gaudi, which means it's beautiful, it's elegant, and they're comparable in their performance to Nvidia chips. So this is their board with 8 of those Gaudi GPUs. Sorry, the structure of the computer is still the same. You have a regular CPU, and then you have, let's say here, 8 Gaudi GPUs. Yes, expensive, pretty good performance, so it is a competitor to Nvidia. But there are other competitors, like for example, Meta, creating their own hardware, which can be used for both training and inference, right? Microsoft, in November, I think, they announced their GPU and CPU called Azure Maya and Cobalt. Google has the TPUs, and then, of course, we have Croc AI Accelerator, which is amazingly fast. Yeah, and they're selling it. And by the way, it's cheaper than NVIDIA, much cheaper and faster. But it's only for inference, so it is not applicable for training. I don't know if they have a solution for training. Okay, new model from Mistral called Mixtral 8 times 22 billion parameters. Well, the previous one was 8 times 7b. So this is approximately 3 times bigger. So the previous one required maybe 26 gig in quantized version, in like 4-bit quantized version. So this would be like maybe 77 gigabytes. So if you have a modern MacBook with 96 gig or 128 gig, you can run it using MLX library, and people already have done it. It's amazing. It was just released, and almost immediately you have quantized version, you have version for Linux and for Mac, and yeah, this is the comparison. Different models, and where is it? Mixtral 822. So it's very good. It's not bad at all, and the fact that it's open source and Gennady, hide yourself. And yeah, so it's a good. So this is 3 times bigger than the previous one. 176 billion parameters, available via torrent download 261 gigabytes. Alama run Mixtral. This was posted by a developer, so and he could do it, but on the Alama website I still haven't seen this model, but it should probably appear pretty soon. Who is not muted? Please mute yourself. Okay, guys, who is not muted? Okay, I have to mute somebody. And who is this? Okay, now everybody is muted. Good. Close. Okay, next, some miscellaneous announcements. So there is a new company with $1 billion, and this is from Johnny Eve and Sam Altman. Sam Altman is CEO for OpenAI, and Johnny Eve was Apple Chief Design Officer, and they want to create a, well, kind of iPhone, but not exactly iPhone, but the new type of hardware device for AI era, and they secured $1 billion for this development, which is good. Another interesting thing, OpenAI apparently transcribed the million hours of YouTube videos to train the GPT-4 model. So they, they have a whisper audio transcription model, and they actually used it to generate training materials to train their model. Elon Musk announces Tesla's robotaxi due in August. Text-to-code usage grows. So this is an article which reviews that, and this is the image from this article. But yeah, it's pretty clear. All programmers, all developers, they use different, like GitHub Copilot, or there are different copilots, let's say, in Visual Studio Code and in all development platforms. So if you're not using it, you're not as effective as others. Yeah, Mac. So this is interesting example. Somebody, hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, thank you. They achieved more than 100 tokens per second using Apple Computer and MLX framework. Just a reminder, MLX framework, it's a framework which is analogous to CUDA. So CUDA is on Nvidia and MLX is on Apple Silicon. Google Gemma, 1.1 instruct. So Gemma is a small model from Google, but they open source it. It's available in different sizes, and well, there is a new version was released. Okay, Google open sourced CodeGemma based on Gemma architecture, uploaded pre-quantized 4-bit model for 4 times faster downloading. So yeah, something you can use. Meta confirmed that they will release Llama 3 within next month. Well, this is a big thing. Just a reminder, the original Llama 65 billion parameters was released in February last year. Then in July, they released Llama 2 and made it completely open source for private and business and research use. And this created like a nuclear blast of like growth of open source and models. Then, of course, Mistral took over, but now they're releasing Llama 3, and there is a very exciting gossips about it, so we will see. Google Imagen 2 can now create 4-second animated images. So here there are some links which you can follow. So when you click, you will see an image, and then about 4 seconds, how it changes in these 4 seconds. Well, beautiful and maybe useful. Okay, UDIO, like at audio but without A. So it's a company, UDIO.com, and they just raised $10 million, and they created the new version of their music generator, which, well, people like it, although they complain that the melodies it creates, they're not memorable. But, well, new model. OpenAI GPT-4 Turbo with vision. So this is a new model. It's basically the same as before. So it's again 128 kilotoken window, still knowledge cutoff in December 23. So the only thing that added is that now it can also work with images. So you can use the same model for both text and images. And by the way, this functionality, I used it with Gemini. It's really convenient. So I got a table with some data, but it was an image. So I just gave it to Gemini and I asked to convert it to a spreadsheet. And it parsed it and returned me a Google sheet. Yeah, this is great. Emo portrait alive. So what happens, you give an image and you give an audio, and it returns you a video, and this video may be lengthy. So as long as you have the audio, so for example, it's a song, and this person with the, I don't know, they take how they do it, but the face expressions, the movements of the lip, like everything is very, very natural. Well, I would say charming. So this is, I don't know, one of them, but you can follow by yourself. I highly recommend to go there and to look. Okay, next, federal government ramps commitment to fairness, equity, blah, blah, blah. So White House orders all federal agencies to name chief AI officers to oversee federal government various approaches to AI and so on. So government now will have chief AI officers everywhere. So if you run the business and you don't have chief AI officer, the question is why. Essay grading at Texas public schools will be done by AI, which is interesting. Pre-processing unstructured data for LLM applications by deep learning. So this is a course, like, you know, Andrew Ng, a famous Stanford professor, and his famous machine learning course. He created Google Brain, and then he worked at Baidu. He created Coursera, and he created deeplearning.ai. And he recently was invited to come aboard of Amazon. So this is commitment of Amazon. So he on deeplearning.ai lately he was like for last year was posting multiple courses which are very good. They're short, usually about 1 hour. There's videos and Jupyter notebooks, and he invites experts in different fields. And here this training is how you pre-process data. I think it's very useful and important. Okay, a new massive multilingual data set, 75 languages, 5.6 trillion word tokens. Wow, right? And Kahir re-rank 3. I'll talk about re-ranking on the next slide, but this is the version 3. The previous version was taking about 8-9 seconds, so it was not really practical. The way the re-ranking is used, so let's say you're doing the search, semantic search, and it returns, I don't know, 10 pieces of text, and now you want to rank them by their relevance to the question, to the original question. And you send these pieces of text and original question to this service, and it returns them in sorted order, right? But on the old version, it was taking, let's say, 9 seconds. Now it's taking about 3 seconds. So now it's becoming practical. And they claim that it's very accurate in comparison even with GPT-4, although GPT-4 is much more expensive. So Kahir originally from Canada, but they also operate in US, and they provide their services on their own cloud, Kahir, and also on Amazon cloud. So it may be a good thing, but you can also do using open source. Okay, Griffin and Hulk, they're coming from Google DeepMind. There are two models. They basically are RNNs, but with some twist. So Hulk is high performance, faster than Mamba. Remember Mamba project, which was published in December, and they're using gated linear recurrences. Griffin, it matches Llama 2 performance, but it achieves it with much less training data, and it can handle long sequences. Both models are as hardware efficient as transformers, but low latency and high throughput. And Griffin was scaled to 14 billion parameters. So it is kind of new research which shows possibilities of these new models. Okay, this was a tweet by Andrew Ng, and this was about a fake girlfriend-boyfriend industry. So this is a little bit scary that people prefer. Oh, hi.
Is this the replica thing?
What?
Is this the replica thing? The AI fake girlfriend boyfriend thing? Asmongold had a great video about it. It was both hilarious and very sad.
Oh, yeah. But you see, it says men didn't want to meet girls because they had virtual girlfriends who said exactly what they wanted to hear. So they're afraid that it will be bad influence and people will become lonely. Ilya, please send me the link. Yeah, and
Hold on.
yeah, and please
Asmongold.
hide yourself because
Okay.
I need to finish the presentation. We can talk later. Okay. Next. llm.c from Andrej Karpathy. Well, Andrej Karpathy is a huge celebrity. As you remember, he was in Stanford, then he was OpenAI, then he was at Tesla, then at OpenAI again, and then he left. And what he's doing, he's, I guess, playing with technology. So what he did here, he recreated the GPT-2 model, which was completely open source. Starting with GPT-3, OpenAI stopped open sourcing, but it's a small model, 124 million parameters, and it's actually not using CUDA. Why I said it's using CUDA? And it's one file, less than 1,000 lines of code in pure C, and it works. It compiles very fast. It runs very fast. So there is no need to have 245 megabytes of PyTorch or 107 megabytes of CPython, and it runs instantly. It's on GitHub, and now he's working on making CUDA implementation and adding some other interesting stuff. So Andrej is a great programmer, a great human being, and very elegant in like the way he does things and explains things. So you may like please yourself by reading his code. Okay, this is an article in Medium from December, and I decided to put it here because, well, it's interesting. People just mostly when they hear RAG, and RAG is very popular, retrieval augmented generation, right? When you have your data, you convert it into embedding vectors in some sort of vector database, and then you have a question, you convert it to vector, you do similarity search, you find some related pieces, and then you compose the response using LLM. So it's very simple, naive, but the accuracy of naive RAG is very little, like it's not good. But there are some techniques which you can use, which are very common, very easy to implement, not expensive, and that's what they do, and they achieved 98%. Right. So this is great, and there are two articles. In first, it describes the first part of like how you do retrieval, and then the second how you do evaluation and generation. So there are two good articles definitely to read to learn, I would say. So how you can make RAG better? I couldn't stand it and decided to put it together. Had a conversation today with Jose from Santiago, Chile, who is a great AI expert. And so one problem with RAG is that the questions and answers don't have to be semantically similar, right? So one way of solving it is to do search in the space of questions. So there are two ways of do indexing: text vector indexing and question vector indexing. So text vector indexing, you have your data as text, you split it in text chunks, you then generate embedding vectors from these text chunks, and you put them in the database as a vector from this text and the text itself. So when you do similarity search, you find vectors and then you take corresponding pieces of text, right? Alternative approach is question vector indexing. So again, you split text into chunks, but bigger chunks. So think about not sentences or paragraphs, but about like chapters. So for each chapter, generate multiple, let's say, exam questions, hypothetical questions somebody can ask about this text. Generate embedding vectors from these questions, and then put them in index as vector from question and text. So when you now searching, how you search? You make a request, which is a question. Well, you usually have some sort of classifier which checks if the question is good, if everything, like maybe you need some extra specific data, and then it passes through this gatekeeper to the agent who may rewrite the question to standard form, and then creates embedding, and then it goes to vector DB to do similarity search. So when you do similarity search, when you're comparing question embedding with the question vector embedding from here, so you're comparing question to question, apple to apple. So the chances to find a good match is like more accurate result is much better. And then of course you return the result, you do semantic, why I say semantic re-ranking, and summarize the response and give the response back, right? So about semantic re-ranking, what it is, it's so let's say you get 10 pieces of text, right? Which returned from the vector similarity search. You want to find out which one of them is more relevant to the question you asked. So what you can do, you can just ask any large language model. You don't need like very sophisticated one. Well, you can use Mixtral, it's very good. And ask, okay, please rank relevancy of this text to this question. And you do these requests for each of those 10 text chunks. Well, you can do it in parallel for speed. And then you have 10 numbers and you sort them and you select the best relevant, and that's what you return to this summarizer agent which generates the response. So you can make those 10 queries in parallel for speed. Any good LLM can be used. You can program agents using standard Python libraries like LangChain or Llama Index. So a classification step is useful. Query expansion or rewriting is useful. Re-ranking on the output is useful. Some good prompt engineering, of course, is used everywhere here. You can also use some tools if necessary. Okay, so this is about RAG. Well, some people also create and train custom models, but usually it's like only like 2-3% of extra accuracy, maybe not necessary. Okay, Alama and embedding models. Well, Alama is our favorite application, which is open source. It's free. It's on GitHub, and you can download it on Mac, Windows, or Linux, and it allows you to run large language models locally. And on their website, they provide models which already prepared to run using Alama. They're quantized down to 4-bit, and it's very, very easy to use. So, but in addition to large language models, they also provide embedding models. An embedding model is something which convert, let's say, text into vector, right? So here are examples of several models they have. So you can do Alama pool this model, for example, and then you can call it either using like HTTP requests, or you can call it from Python, or you can call it from JavaScript. So it's very easy. So for RAG, if you want to create a RAG locally, you can do everything through Olama, both embedding models and LLM. Okay, AI OS, AI operating system. So this is basically a multi-agent system, and they try to optimize it in terms of using the memory and so on. So optimize resource allocation, facilitate context switch across agents, and so on, so on, so on. Again, multi-agent systems is very common today, but this is attempt to actually do something like operating system, and it's open source. You see, it's on GitHub. Okay, 3blue1brown. I love this guy. It's a great YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed, subscribe immediately. He has more than 6 million subscribers. The reason for the name of the channel 3blue1brown is because his eye, which is mostly blue, has this brown spot. So this is his logo. His name is Grant Sanderson, and he's amazing. And the reason why I put him here, because he created a series of videos which explain deep learning, and especially I recommend you to look to start at the end. The last one is attention in transformers, visually explained. So this is chapter 6 of this series. Amazing. It's just absolutely best explanation of how attention mechanisms work. So just take a cup of coffee, start the video, and enjoy. Next, Crowdsourced Arena was updated yesterday. So we have 82 models, 652,000 votes. And remember last week, Claude 3 Opus was on top, but GPT-4 just released the update like 3 days ago, 2 days ago, and it is a little bit better than Claude 3 Opus, but the difference is like really, really small. It's about like in the range of the error, right? So Claude and GPT, which is uh, well, they used to work together, right? Because Anthropic, Claude, they separated, they left OpenAI because they didn't like how OpenAI started to be too close to Microsoft, and they created their own company, which is now a multi-billion-dollar company, and they created models which are very close to the top achievements from OpenAI. Anyway, so this is the decreasing the Arena Elo score. And the yellow means open source. So the best Chinese models from Alibaba, and this one, so this is 72 billion parameters, 32 billion parameters, 14 billion. This is another model, Starling, the wizard from Microsoft, I think, Mixtral 87B. So it is here, and then this is another Chinese model. Okay, tech layoffs. So I marked, this was last year, this is this year. So layoffs are much smaller, maybe 2-3 times smaller, and actually salaries of AI specialists grow, and sometimes grow insanely, depending on what you can do. Most in demand people who actually can train the model. Okay, this is it. This is me. Nothing changes here. Thank you.